Now I'm going to show you what Vice President JD Vance just said. It's very strange. First of all, take a look at this clip, guys.
I received a ton of emails overnight asking me, David, sir, what happened to your hair? I mean, no, I'm sorry, saying, did JD Vance just accuse Donald Trump of crimes? Did JD just unwittingly concede that Donald Trump is engaged in securities fraud? Let me explain, and then we'll try to figure it out. We learned from financial disclosures earlier this week that Donald Trump personally was acquiring shares of companies that he was pumping in public. He bought shares of Micron and then went on TV and he said, Micron is great, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. He said it much more eloquently than I did. He bought shares of Dell and he went on TV and he said, buy Dell computers, they're great. He was pumping and jerking stocks that he owned. Got it. JD Vance was confronted about this. And JD Vance said something interesting. Trump's not doing these trades himself. He's not sitting there on Robinhood trading stocks. And many of you asked, if JD is right and he's telling the truth, is that a crime? Well, let's listen to what JP Mandel had to say, and then we will talk about it.
You guys got to behave yourself.
We'll be here for a little bit.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The president's financial disclosures were released recently, and they showed a lot of stock trades in companies that he has talked up at events, official events at the White House, on his True Social account, sometimes even putting the stock ticker symbols in his posts and encouraging people to buy their stock.
Right.
Americans, according to recent polling,
He's not going to like this reporter. You know, if there was a President Trump at the place of JD Vance, he would have called him a fake news reporter.
are increasingly describing the president as corrupt and trading stocks.
This is a hell of a question.
Thank you, sir. Trading individual stocks is something that you said that public officials should not be able to do when you ran for Senate all those years ago. And yet the president, who arguably has access to more non-public information than your average senator, is not only buying and selling individual stocks either through his trust.
Okay. What's the question?
The question is, the question, sir, is how can you and your administration argue to Americans that you're cleaning up corruption, you're preventing fraud, you're fighting the sorts of things that harm people and people's financial situations, when the president seems to be talking up stocks that he owns, selling them, and enriching himself?
Okay, so here, let me answer your question here. That was a doozy.
All right, now listen carefully to the answer.
Before I answer your question, I want to just observe there are different ways to ask a question. Okay, you could just ask a question, try to get your answer, or you could do like a speech where you say, you know, Mr. Vice President, you're a terrible human being, and so is the president, and so is the entire cabinet, and then I'm like, what's your question? And then your question is, how dare you? Come on, man. Have a little bit of objectivity in the way that you ask these questions.
They do not like being asked serious questions. That's the takeaway.
Because there were a lot of things in that speech masquerading as a question that didn't actually get asked. Okay, number one.
When he was telling, although he was doing a speech, JD Vance interrupted and said, "What's the question?" He immediately asked a question, but now he's criticizing, as usual, as President Trump does. Hey, fake news. The report is from fake news. Although he is following, as I told you in previous videos, JD Vance is just following President Trump.
The president doesn't sit at the Oval Office on his computer on his like Robinhood account buying and selling stocks. That's absurd. He has independent wealth advisors who manage his money. He is a wealthy person. He has had success in business. He's not making these stock trades himself. And your question imputes that. It doesn't say it exactly, but a reasonable person listening to that question would assume the president is sitting around and doing that.
Well, sitting around, I don't know. But the reporting and the disclosures are that these were unsolicited trades, meaning they didn't come from an intermediary or advisor. They came from Trump. Now, that doesn't literally mean that Trump is sitting at his computer. Trump, I don't think, knows how to use a computer. That's a different story. So I researched this. I spoke to a securities lawyer because a lot of you said, would there be securities fraud here if what JD Vance is saying is true? By itself, the idea that someone else is making these trades for Trump would not be a securities crime, at least based on what we know. What JD Vance appears to be trying to do here is to defend Trump by putting distance between Trump's pumping of these stocks and Trump's ownership of the shares. He's going, Trump's not sitting there day trading. Other people manage the trades. Therefore, it's unfair to accuse Trump of corruption on that basis. Now, under securities law and ethics rules, the key issue is not who clicked the buy button. That's oversimplifying it. So as usual, JD is trying to dispel a notion that's not really the core of the argument. Were the trades directed by Trump while Trump possessed non-public information? That's question number one. Were the trades made when Donald Trump had the ability to make public statements to manipulate markets? And I think the answer is obviously yes. Trump going on Fox News and going, buy Micron, buy Dell. Absolutely. Was government power used in a way that financially benefited Trump? Well, literally, yes. Trump owned shares of companies that, as president of the United States, he was visiting with the CEOs or the factories, Thermo Fisher or whatever, and pumping. If Trump publicly promotes a company or an industry while benefiting financially from his holdings, then that is a major conflict of interest concern. Now, is it a crime? Is it securities fraud? A lot of that comes down to what you can prove. Now, J.D. Vance's defense, which some are calling actually implicative of a crime, J.D. Vance's defense is interesting because he doesn't say there was no improper trading. He doesn't say Trump had no knowledge that he owned those shares when he was pumping those companies. He doesn't say there was no financial benefit to Trump. He doesn't say the trades with whoever made the trades for Trump was coordinating with Trump's pumping. He just goes, Trump wasn't the one on Robinhood or E-Trade or whatever. Now, even if something isn't criminal, there can still be conflict of interest, which there is, the appearance of corruption, which of course there is, self-dealing concerns, which obviously there are, and abuse of office arguments, which of course Donald Trump is abusing his office. Historically, presidents try to avoid these concerns by actually having blind trusts. There's not only would Trump not be directing, hey, get me shares of Micron, get me shares of Dell, Trump wouldn't even know whether his advisors are making those purchases. The advisors would be deciding independently. Trump famously did not divest from his business interests. There are ethics controversies, and Trump is still directing investments himself. So J.D. Vance, I don't know that J.D. Vance accidentally exposed criminality by Trump, but he certainly is not dispelling the notion of overt corruption, self-dealing. And it's in a sense insider trading. Trump has inside information. He is the one who knows I'm going to pump these companies. So it's almost worse than inside information.
JD Vance is following President Trump. Whenever he comes, and some reporters, when they ask a question from President Trump, a serious question, I hope you understand what is a serious question here. So whenever a reporter asks a serious question from President Trump, he says, he criticized the reporter first, and then he actually don't like the reporter, and he called them fake news media. What you can see here is, and J.D. Vance is just following President Trump policy. Like, he is just also criticizing. He was asking, although he was doing a long question, by the way, J.D. Vance is right there as well. But when J.D. Vance said, what is a real question? He immediately said a real question in a very short time. There was a 1 or 2 sentence maybe. But after that, J.D. Vance just did a speech to criticize the reporter, to make him embarrassed. And that's what President Trump does a lot of times, several times. So yeah, you should not ask a question of corruption to President Trump or J.D. Vance. He's going to throw tantrums. He's going to call you a fake news. He's going to call you a fake news media. And if a reporter is from CNN and ABC, then definitely they are going to call you a fake news media. So what's your opinion? Are you satisfied with the response of JD Vance? Let me know in the comment section, guys. I'm a student of US politics and you're the teacher. You have to teach me the correct politics of USA. I'll bring more important videos for you. Till then, please take care of yourself and please take care of your health as well. And please consider subscribing, and excuse my accent as well. I'm not a native speaker. I'm just trying to learn American accent as soon as possible through these videos and all the stuff.